What's going on, the truckers? So, we're going to break down a video. We're going to go into some opinions, some thoughts, some actual regulations. And so my thought process on this is going to be all over the place. I'm just talking to you guys. I love you guys. A lot of people sending me this video, but I do want to put down key points. In this video, we're going to be talking about trip leasing, right? And so, the big question is trip leasing legal? And the answer is yes. And we'll get into some of that. Do people really use trip leasing today? The answer is not really, for the reasons why people are using it. And that has a lot to do with just the deregulation of trucking. They don't have to use it as much to get home, right? And the last biggest thing is in this video is what's happening, a reality and truth. And I'm here to tell you, yes, I'm not saying this company's doing this because it's a video that, someone's putting context themselves and making you feel a type of way. But yeah, there's a lot of crap companies out there that are fly-by-nights that start something and know that they're not going to take care of their drivers and educate their drivers. And when it goes bad, they start another company, right? But at the end of the day, should the truck driver filming mind their own business? And second, is it that rare that somebody works for one company, gets fired or quits, and then jumps onto another company? I think it happens all the time. And some of that is a problem in trucking. But let's get into this. Let's break down some things. And I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you guys are having a great day whenever you're watching this, and always love the support, and just want to give you guys more information in the trucking world so you have a better understanding. What's going on, Mud Truckers? Welcome, Mud Trucker News. Emails on muthatruckernews@gmail.com. Definitely want to talk about this video right here that everybody's talking about. I've gotten a lot of links from this. So first, I want to give credit where credit is due. The links keep on jumping back to the Dirty Old Trucker. So I'll put links down below so that you can follow the page. Okay. And so it writes here, for the context, seems to be a popular thing these foreigner run companies are doing lately at SAM 226216. So what it shows in the video is that a truck driver, I believe, is at a truck stop. Somebody, of course, is not minding their business and filming this driver, and they're switching their numbers and they're switching their company name, right? And so, I want to give you what the FMCSA regulations are, and also I want to give you the way that things are really and can be from the streets of trucking, right? That sounds funny, but the truth and why people are concerned about this is there are a lot of trucking companies that are out there that just say they have, 100 truck drivers that work for them, but they're working under different companies. And these companies are really there just so that they could spread their risk. Now, the reason why this is bad is because these type of companies have bad business practices and they don't care for anything. And what happens is if one company shuts down, they just throw them onto the next company, right? So that's why people believe that that's what's happening here. But the truth is, it could be happening and it might not be happening. What I love about this show is if you are actually the trucking company for either or of these companies that this truck driver is putting these numbers and trucking company name on the door, please reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation with you guys and get the truth of what's happening, right? Of course, this is a video. It's one-sided. That shows its own narrative, and sometimes that could be incorrect. And so that's why people are emotional about this. Now, let's get into the actual regulations and what potentially is going on here, and just give you some information so that you guys can make sound decisions and understand a little bit about how the trucking industry works. If you're new in this industry, or if you watch the videos and you're not in trucking at all, but you just love learning stuff, right? Because that's me as well. First thing first, what is trip leasing? And so the definition of trip leasing is where a motor carrier leases equipment for a single trip, and it's regulated by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration under 49 CFR Part 376, requiring rent agreements, insurance, and record keeping. Trip leasing is still legal to this day, right? But it says it is carefully regulated by the federal regulations, common practice in the industry, really in the past, right? They really don't use it that much now. And so I want to talk about why that is. And, for the people that don't know my background, I was a mover for the last 10 years, moving furniture for North American Van Lines. I was an owner operator for them. But before that, I would go on the road with my uncle. And I remember just being on the road and him talking to different drivers. And pretty much, this is before my time. But they would tell me stories about what's going on, right? So this is a big history in time in the trucking industry, and I've talked about it before, and it was the Motor Carrier Act of 1980. Basically, at that time, it deregulated trucking. Before that, trucking was very regulated, right? So if a company or your owner-operator, you're going one lane and you're going somewhere, you won't be able to come back because there's another company that has that lane. So they would do these day trip lease and basically switch up their numbers so that they could get back home. Here's the truth. Why is it less common now? Because of deregulation brought about by Motor Carrier Act of 1980, it diminished the regulatory power of the Interstate Commerce Commission, making it easier for owner-operators to haul freight without needing to rely heavily on trip leasing. Why might someone use trip leasing in today's market? Finding a return load, an owner-operator might use trip leasing to secure a return load to a specific location, even if they don't have their own authority for the type of freight. Number two, assessing better markets. If an owner-operator is in a location with limited freight opportunities, they might use a trip lease to temporarily haul freight to a market with better rates. And number three, certificated carriers needing temporary equipment. Sometimes carriers need temporary equipment. It does happen. So this certificated carrier might temporarily lease a truck for a specific load if they are short on equipment or need to cover a route they don't regularly serve. With the industry being how weird it is, people have been wearing different hats and trying different type of lanes. And so this is something that can come into play. The big question to ask yourself as we dissect this is, this driver in this video is switching up their US DOT number, right? And company name number. And it could be something as simple as, this driver is literally just starting with a new company. It could be that simple, right? But if we're going to break this down, is it legal for trucking companies to have different US DOT numbers, right? And so that's what we're trying to buffer out here. So right here, a trucking company can't legally have multiple US DOT numbers unless it operates multiple separate and distinct commercial driving units or entities, as each distinct entity requires its own unique US DOT number. So basically, hey, you have a trucking company within your mega trucking company, your main thing, you might do 4 different things within it, right? And so because of that, you have different companies' names and US DOT numbers, right? That does happen. Okay. So I tried to look up FMCSA, safer scores and stuff, but as of right now, today, of course, while I'm looking it up, it has to be down. So Carrier Source came up. So I'm just using this as accredited, not sponsored. Don't care where you guys look stuff up. But, the first name was KG Line Group Inc. And let's look to see. We're just looking at this, okay? Like it stated, if you have different US DOT numbers and trucking company names, if it's like separate types of trucking, that could make sense, right? You have a flatbed division, then you have a tanker division. Maybe those run under different company names and US DOT numbers, right? So let's look at what, Carrier Source says on this. And again, might not be fully accurate. We're just playing the game here. Is the freight they haul is general freight, it says. And truck types is dry van and reefer. Shipment types is full truckload. Okay, let's go to this other one. is their Tatosh Express Inc., freight, general freight, truck types, dry vans, power only, and shipment types, full truckload. So from the two, everything's about the same. The only difference is one is dry van and power only, and the other company is dry van and reefer. So is it big enough of a division that they might have two different companies, or is this just two separate companies and people are overreacting? And at the end of the day, all the guy did was he quit one company and now he's working for another company. I mean, that happens a lot in the business. But overall, it's for you guys to decide. But just want to share you guys some information, let you know what's going on and let you know that, hey, at the end of the day, these things, people sharing videos, it's great for the social media world of it. But the truth is, sometimes it's a good history lesson and learning lesson. And so to break down everything at the end of the day, trip leasing, is it legal? Yes. Are people doing it? Not that much. Do certain situations and breakdowns and trying to find different lanes and needing to, get certain equipment. Does that make you have to trip lease? Yes, it can happen. Is this scenario in this situation truly what's happening? And I'm not here to deny that trucking companies, there are a lot of shady operating ones. It's easy to be shady than to be good. And why not have 20 different companies? Because you don't care about the first one. And when it shuts down, you just start up another one, right? And is that situation happening here? Right? I can't state those things. I don't know. We're all watching the same video. But mud truckers, yeah. At the end of the day, it's just an overview of the things that it can be, giving you guys some information. And I love your thoughts on this and love to know when's the last time you did a trip lease.